Right, lads, how are we? Right, sorry, apologies for being late. We are live. Everybody in the chat, how you doing? Thanks very much for waiting. Harry, Nico, Hippo as well. I think you were late. I was late. I apologise for that. Right, let's get into this then, shall we? Tottenham Hotspur beat Team K-League yesterday 4-3 in our fourth pre-season friendly, making it 4 wins out of 4. And there was a lot to take away from the game, especially from the performance of this man, Lucas Bergvall. You can see it on the thumbnail. I believe that he has a genuine chance of starting Premier League minutes next season. And I'm going to go into that. I'm going to go into how Spurs set up, how we started the game, how we finished the game, what we should be concerned with in terms of conceding those goals on transition, what we learned from the attacking play as well, what we learned from the midfield yesterday, which I think was particularly interesting. Great performances again from Will Lankshear. Dejan Kulusevski again through the middle getting another goal, and we saw Sonny back to his very, very, very sharp best. Make sure to like the stream, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. I'm going to do these after every Premier League game next year and after every Cup and Europa League game as well. The day after we're going to stream, we're going to break down what we learned from the game. And yeah, let's get into it. Again, I'll do this live so people can get in the chat and get involved. People are saying very quiet. Is that better? Volume up. Let me just turn that up. Is that better, guys? Is that better? Should we be slightly concerned about Maddison? We're going to get into that as well. Let me know if that volume is better, lads. 1, 2, 1, 2. That should be okay. 1, 2. Right. Is that good? Are we good, Robert? Okay, I think that's better. Much better. Okay, cool. Perfect. Much, much better. Right then. Let's get into the game. So Tottenham won 4-3. This is how we started the game. Again, Emerson and Davis as those two centre-backs. Archie Gray, Sarr and Bergvall in midfield. Kulusevski continuing through the middle with Son and Johnson out wide. Just to check on the volume, lads. Sorry, it's a bit all over the place. Does it actually sound like it's coming through my microphone, or does it sound like it's coming through something else? Because I can just make sure of that and double check, because I was filming videos yesterday, so I had to unplug a few things. Sorry if it's a bit of a mess. Stay with me, guys, if you're watching this after the stream. So this is how Tottenham set up yesterday. This is how Spurs finished the game, with Skip and Dragston at centre-backs, George Abbott, Basuma coming on, who I thought made a difference. Spence, Maddison, who we can talk about in terms of his performance. I thought Maddison's performance was pretty underwhelming yesterday. Timo Werner obviously got an assist. Will Lankshear got another goal, and Mikey Moore, who didn't quite dazzle in the same way that he did in the previous games, but he was very much involved. We also saw Mikey Moore go out to the left a lot, which I liked. Timo Werner was coming over here. I do think playing on the left suits Mikey that little bit better, I'll be honest. But the fact that he's shone like this through pre-season so far, playing on the right-hand side, again, it's not a huge adjustment playing out of position as a winger, playing on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, but I definitely think he's more suited to play over here. So I was glad that we got to see Mikey playing off the left-hand side. This was, for me, how it looked in terms of in possession, in build-up, when we kind of got into that final third. We've been hearing a lot about Spurs kind of setting up in training sessions in that 3-2-5 shape. Again, I think we saw Archie Gray coming in here a lot as that third centre-back. I'm going to do a bit of analysis on Archie Gray as well in the stream. But we definitely saw Gray coming in here, and then it was this box being created almost with Sarr and Bergvall and Porro and Donley as well behind those front men. So this is kind of how it looked to me yesterday. Gray definitely sitting as that more number 6. Again, Gray, I thought it wasn't quite as a sharp performance as maybe as we've seen from him at centre-back. Again, he's kind of getting used to things, getting up to the speed of playing at this level for sure. But he was definitely bright in midfield yesterday. He gave the ball away in the first couple of minutes or so. But again, with Gray's tenacity, he's always trying to win it back. And I think he did a lot of good stuff as well yesterday. So this is kind of how it looked to me in terms of how Spurs built up from the back. Was really impressed with Jamie Donley's performance. Again, we're going to talk about Donley a little bit more. I think he's actually very suited to this role in terms of his skill set. Maybe not so much his physicality, but I definitely think we could maybe see some minutes for Donley in that inverted fullback position. So I want to talk about the midfield and I want to talk about Lucas Bergvall. But first, we're going to go through the goals and the goals conceded as well and kind of what we learned from that. But we definitely saw this as the kind of box in midfield with Kulusevski dropping that little bit deeper into it as well to create that 5, Johnson and Son as your runners in behind as well. What I love about this kind of Spurs setup, yes, it does leave us that little bit vulnerable, but there is so much fluidity in that midfield, and I love that. So let's come on and talk about the goals before we talk about Lucas Bergvall, because there's stuff that we can pick out from the goals as well. Again, this was the screenshot that I showed in the thumbnail of Lucas Bergvall. And again, with Bergvall yesterday, before we come on to those goals, there wasn't the spectacular moment from Bergvall. Obviously, he nearly got his goal, hitting the bar, but I think it was just so many nice little things that he did so well and knitted together the play beautifully. Tottenham's first goal then. Maybe it's better if I move myself over here. And let me know your thoughts in the chat as well while we're going on, and make sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel as well. Here we go then. So, Tottenham's first goal. Brennan Johnson picks it up. In a nice crisp pass into the feet of Sarr, who's able to kind of receive it with his back to goal. Again, you look here, you've got Kulusevski kind of peeling off as that right winger. Obviously, with Johnson dropping in again, speaks to how fluid this Tottenham setup is in terms of an attacking sense. Sarr, little pop off to Son. Son squares his full back up like he does so well, so unpredictable in terms of what he's going to do. I did find sometimes last season, despite how many goals that Sonny scored, I did find that sometimes he would be a little bit indecisive in these areas a lot last season, and quite often he'd want to come inside and then the chance would go. He'd dribble, and he wouldn't quite get the shot away. But what you do know with Sonny is that when he does get into these positions, he can either come inside or, because of his brilliant two-footed nature, he can drop the shoulder, he can step over, and he can get the shot off with the left foot. But this time, he gets the shot away really quickly, and it kind of catches the goalkeeper out. He spills it, and obviously Dejan Kulusevski comes in. What is brilliant about Kulusevski here as well, it's not a simple finish necessarily, because it looks as if the defender's going to get in there and clear it up, but Kulusevski just is able to shrug him off and get there first and get the ball into the back of the net. I've been really impressed with Dejan Kulusevski through the middle. I think he offers so much as that number 9. Again, I'm not saying he is the answer to Spurs' striker problems, but I think he definitely helps solve part of it. We talked about in the last stream, him playing in that position. Again, he got an assist against Vissel Kobe. He got his first goal of pre-season yesterday, which was a surprise, I think, to many, given how potent he's been. Again, we'll talk about it with Sonny's second goal, the kind of link-up play that we saw with him, which has been such a facet of pre-season in terms of his ability to combine. I absolutely love that, and I think he's so clever, and I think a lot of the time it's down to the weight of pass, so we'll come on to that. Again, this was the second goal. Let me just move that over slightly. This was the second goal. I wanted to show you this screenshot here because it comes from a quick free kick, because you're probably wondering, if I'd have started talking about the goal with this angle, with this screenshot, you probably would have thought, well, how does Spurs end up here? Did they bait the press? No, it was a quick free kick from Pedro Porro. And again, I want to talk about Jamie Donley, because I think he's taken to task in this role as an inverted fullback so well, because of his positional awareness and his attacking kind of just instinct. Again, he gets into this central position, which is what we saw a lot from him. Yesterday, and we've seen throughout pre-season. Strides forward, and he's able to get that pass quickly out to Sonny. Again, Kulusevski, you can see there occupying that centre half. And let me know in the chat as well, guys, what you thought about Kulusevski's performance, like I said earlier. Again, Kulusevski, what he does here is he occupies the centre-back. Donley makes that run. He plays the pass and follows the run. And in turn, Donley ends up taking this centre-back away. The right-sided centre-back, as you can see here, really opens up the angle for Sonny. And again, like I said about last season, I think there were times where Sonny almost became a little bit indecisive, and you could feel that there was this cry of shoot, come on, hit it. But yesterday, Sonny was kind of back to that instinct. And is there anyone more inevitable when they get into those kind of positions than Son Heung-Min? Not really. I think Sonny has had a good pre-season so far. We did an analysis after the QPR game. I think there were some chances that he missed in those ones where maybe he wasn't quite at the sharpness in terms of his ability and poaching instincts in front of goal that we've come to expect. But in those kind of positions, he's just cash money, isn't he? It's just an unbelievable finish. Right, let me move my big head because you can't see the play here. This is the third goal. Then. Sonny drifting into a central position. And again, you can see that nice line across the back line of Team K-League. You've got Pedro Porro actually out here in a left wing position. You've then got Jamie Donley tucking in as that number 10, Kulusevski as well, Bergvall and Johnson. There are so many options, but Son decides to go back and he just bumps it off to Sarr and gets it back from him. And again, you can see Kulusevski just make that little movement. If we go take it back a couple of steps, Sarr pops the ball back into Son, and again you can see Kulusevski. You can see Kulusevski on the move there, waiting to receive the pass. And if you think back to the goal that Basuma scored against QPR, and again, like I said, we did some analysis on that after that game. It's just the weight of the pass from Kulu, which has been so impressive. And again, we saw that against Vissel Kobe with that lovely back heel to Pedro Porro. And again, we see it here. Back into Son's path. Sonny, that nutmeg is just filth. Like, that is just absolute filth from Sonny. And the nutmeg, he takes it round him, and again, he just slots it. Absolutely lovely. Absolutely beautiful. And again, this kind of flutter of 3 goals that Spurs scored in that second half, if you like, came after the drinks break. And again, I'm sure all of you guys have seen Ange Postecoglou going crazy at the players, telling them to press high, go man for man. And I definitely think we saw kind of an upturn in Spurs' attitude in that sort of second half of the first half off the back of that as well. Makes the game very simple, Postecoglou. And I think that's what we saw yesterday. And I think we saw the benefits of that. Let's go to the chat then, because there's a few comments here about Kulusevski. And again, guys, make sure you get your comments in. You can get your super chats in as well now if you really want to ask me a question. Donley has a football brain. Completely agree, Robert. Again, I think he's taken to this inverted fullback role so well. And if we come back to the the tactics board here, do you just see Donley occupying so many different positions? He'll happily come in here to receive the ball. And again, let me just get rid of that. Let me move Donley here. And again, even in these positions, because what he does, like you said, with that kind of footballing brain, if Spurs are able to work it up, and again, I haven't got a defensive team in here, but again, he's just so good at these sort of little, almost one-touch passes into people. That combination play, again, I think we saw that a lot against Vissel Kobe, where he was kind of making these runs a lot of the time, and will create those overloads. And then when you've got players being able to run into the box, especially with how Spurs score goals, again, it can be. I think he's going to take to that role really well. Again, I'm not sure if I'm not sure if it's something I see necessarily long term for him, but I think he can definitely be an option there. I don't think Jamie Donley will go out on loan, but you guys let me know in the chat what you think, and what you think is best for some of these players' development. I'd love to know that, because I actually made a video about Mikey Moore the other day and how much I'd like to keep him at the club, just generally, obviously with the interest in him, but in terms of the loan situation. And I think Jamie Donley and Will Lankshear, who we're going to talk about as well, is the same. And speaking of strikers, let's talk about Kulu, because there's some comments here in the chat. Darren Fearon says, dry roast peanut, great choice of nut. I prefer a cashew myself, a honey roasted, but I'll take it. Said Kulusevski would start up top for Brazil. I already prefer him to Richie. Again, Richie wasn't able to get on the pitch yesterday. Hopefully we're going to see him in that final game in career against Bayern, and then maybe again against Bayern back at the Lane in a few weeks' time. But yeah, I think there'll be a lot of rotation with the striker options. I do think that, and I think Kulusevski will get minutes there. Darren, Decky's performance is so underrated. I like how he knits things together in that false 9 position. We'll come on and talk about Kulusevski now, actually, before we go into the second half then, because there's a lot of chat about Kulu. Flynn says, so happy that Kulu's performing so well again. We know the heights he can reach, was just so inconsistent offensively at times last season. Very happy with how he's doing centrally. I totally agree, mate. It's really interesting, actually, because Kulusevski did a brilliant interview with Alistair Gold for those people who haven't seen it already, and he basically talks about the fact that last season, obviously, he didn't train centrally too much, other than when Maddison was out injured. Obviously, he filled in that period, but he's been training consistently as a central player in pre-season training so far, and we've seen the benefits of that. I think is that a goal contribution? Someone will be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's a goal contribution maybe in every other game. Actually, maybe not against Hearts, but he was very much involved in the first goal with that little backflip round the corner. A couple of comments about Alfie Devine here as well. Edo Near says, Ben, do you think Alfie Devine would get a good loan? Because I was really impressed by him. Devine's been so impressive throughout pre-season. I've been really, really impressed with him. But I think maybe another good loan to a team that actually wants to play football. I kind of see him more as that box-to-box. Bradley Snow, has followed that up there. I think Devine goes out on loan now just because of how many midfielders we've had. And one of those midfielders is Lucas Bergvall, who I'm itching to talk about. But I want to talk about Dejan Kulusevski first, because it feels like that's the topic that's kind of on everyone's lips at the moment. I was so impressed with him yesterday. Again, people talking about that false 9 role. I definitely think it's been more of an actual 9 in the last couple of games. Definitely more as a focal point number 9. But again, he's kind of dropping in and knitting things together here. You see him out on the left. Nice little combination play. Sonny's able to kind of pop it back into him with that one-touch pass. This is the chance, actually, where Lucas Bergvall nearly scores. He hits the bar. Kulusevski's weight of cross here is unbelievable. And again, Kulusevski, with his finishing, you'd back him if someone else is in that position to get that low cross in across the box, and he could finish. But I think, again, it speaks to the fluidity of this Tottenham team for sure. Gets a lovely cross in and Bergvall smashed it against the bar. Again, Kulusevski drifting wide into these positions. Again, what I want to talk about with Kulusevski and with Bergvall as well, the two Swedes, is their body manipulation and the way they use their body so well. The kind of the ball rolls, the body feints, the rolling of the players. I think we saw that a lot with Kulusevski yesterday here, and I think that does make him quite unpredictable and quite hard to stop because of his strength as well and the way he's able to manipulate his body. Ball gets fed into him here and he just rolls the defender. Again, you see another example here. Let me just move my big head. Again, you see it here in his own half, the ball gets played to him. And again, just that strength, he becomes kind of unstoppable. And again, if he's able to, you have to take that into context if that's one of their forward players there. So coming up against a big centre-back, if you're a William Saliba, for example, it's going to be a lot harder to do that. But I do believe Deki's got the strength to compete with some of the best centre-backs in the league. I think he's going to be a nightmare for people to handle. And again, he's able to just get away. Here as well, nice little one-touch combination play. Oh, this is that was the cross for Bergvall again. One thing here as well is that running in behind, that awareness of when to make the run. Sonny just pops it into him. And again, goes down a bit of a blind alley, but he's able to hold it up and hold it off. And again, he's able to get a cross in from that position. Final thing I want to talk about Deki as well. Obviously, he got his goal yesterday, which we talked about. But again, just that strength. And again, the lovely little nutmeg here, the see you later. And then he's just able to hold him off as well, which is really, really encouraging. I think Deki has got all of the attributes to be a top number 9. Do I want to see that consistency throughout the season? Would I prefer a more of an actual ready profile number 9 there? Probably, but I think Kulusevski can definitely help in that position throughout the season. I think his footballing brain, his pressing as well. He often leads that press. He's so selfless. I think he's such an amazing player to have in the team, and I think playing him centrally more often than not next season is where he's going to thrive the most. Let's go back to the chat. It looks like Palace are in for a new left winger, apparently, says Gary Hunter. Andy MC, B-Day Benny, love your streams, mate. Hope you keep it up all season. Andy, thank you very much. Oh, good day. Okay, look, we've got a lot of people from Australia coming into these streams, which is great. So, Andy, I appreciate that, mate. Like I said earlier on, there's going to be all of these. We're going to be doing these streams all throughout the season, all throughout next season, off the back of the Premier League games and the Cup games and the European games, and we'll do them for the remaining 2 pre-season friendlies as well. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying them, for sure. Commander in the tennis star on the right wing. Looks like Palace in for a new left winger. Interesting. Deki plays the false 9 for Sweden. He plays alongside Isak. Yes, he does. Jack Lane says Kulu was pretty much a 9 when he was a winger under Conte. He held up the ball from wide positions. If he gets finishing tight, he will be a menace. Yeah, I totally agree with that as well. And also with Deki, when he was playing under Conte, the role was completely different, like you say anyway. He was often playing in those more central positions because the wing-back would be expected to hold the width. So yeah, you're completely right. You're completely right, mate. I totally agree. Bradley Snow says, Flynn says Deki going to cook centrally this season. Bradley Snow says starting to think it would be best to sign a right wing to compete with Johnson as the most necessary signing. I think he'll be a winger that can play on both sides, but I do agree with that. Deki at the 9 leads the press similar to how Odegaard does for Arsenal. Odegaard is an interesting comparison because I want to come on and talk about Bergvall because I think we see a lot of those same qualities with him. If Deki is number 9 at the end of the window, I'll be so upset. Interesting. Okay. Right, let's go back to... let's talk about Lucas Bergvall, shall we? Let's talk about Bergvall before we come on to the second half. Let's talk about Bergvall before we come on to the second half. We're going to talk about Gray as well. The players that I want to kind of go into in detail and focus more in the stream are Will Lankshear, Jamie Donley, or we talked about Donley, Will Lankshear, Lucas Bergvall. Obviously, we've done Deki. I'm also going to talk about Yang Min-Hyuk as well. We're going to do a little bit on Yang Min-Hyuk because it was incredible to see him roasting Emerson yesterday, wasn't it? A sign of things to come. Right. Let me just get these Bergvall images ready. Bear with me just one second. Just want to go back to start. So that was the... we've got a lot to show on Lucas Bergvall, as you can probably see here. Again, I was talking to some friends yesterday when I wanted to put this video together. I was talking to Travis from Lily White Lab, and we were watching the compilation together, and it was almost like I really wanted to talk a lot about Bergvall. There wasn't one outstanding moment, but there were so many little things that he does so well, which I want to talk about in the stream. So make sure to like the stream, guys. Make sure to let me know what you thought of Lucas Bergvall's performance so far in pre-season. And again, the thumbnail is, can he start? You know, why he should start in the Premier League. He is ready, in my opinion. I'm not saying he's going to do it in every game, but this is why. So, Bergvall here. One thing we talked about in the Hearts game is his press resistance and his ability to come deep and win it off pick it up off the centre-backs. Sorry, let me just move myself over here. Unlock that. Anybody else who streams and uses OBS knows what I'm doing here. It's just a bit fiddly sometimes in terms of getting the pictures right. So again, what I noticed yesterday was very much Gray was the one that would kind of sit in and make that 3-2-5. Gray would be that third centre-back, that central centre-back as that number 6, if you like. But again, Bergvall going and picking up off of the goalkeeper. Vicario fires it into him here. And what Bergvall was able to do so well, in terms of that body manipulation, Bergvall's scanning is something I want to talk about a lot. And again, he knows he is coming up right behind him, the K-League midfielder, to press. And again, he just opens up his body and able to get that pass off first time into Ben Davis. And the reason I've left the next bit in as well, because Bergvall was able to get that pass off so quickly, Davis is able to fire it first time, you can't actually see it there, into Donley. I haven't actually got the screenshot, but it just opens up the pitch so much with that first time ball, and Davis is able to feed it into Donley. You can't actually see it in the screenshot there, I apologise for that. Again, Bergvall dropping in as that left-hand side, often likes to operate in those kind of left half spaces, those left pockets. Again, when he receives the ball, opens his body up, drives forward, and is able to just knock it out wide to Sonny. Just the tempo, something I've been really impressed with Bergvall. And again, he goes and gets it back off Sonny. What I wanted to highlight here is his ability to pass and move. Ange Postecoglou said that in one of the clips in training that was going around from that documentary. Pass, move, we play our football. Pass, move, pass, move, pass, move. And that's definitely what we saw yesterday from Bergvall. Again, he gives it and then he carries on going. And this is what I love. Again, we go back to that Hearts game, and there was one example that I showed when he picks the ball up off of the goalkeeper, and it's just this little blind pass around the corner with the outside of his foot to kind of get him out of trouble here. And he does it to Gray there. And again, like I said, he just comes into this space to receive it again, and he just, instead of recycling the ball, again, there's a pass on. Again, you can't quite see it because it's out of frame. Maybe if I move it over, I can't show you, but there is a simple pass there into midfield that he could make. But again, when he gets the ball back, he turns back inside and then drives with it. And again, this is all the same move. This isn't clips stitched together. This isn't screenshots stitched together. This is all the same move. What he does, again, drives into the space. You can see Porro coming in there. I want to talk about Porro's positioning as well, because I thought he popped up in some really nice areas. We'll do that in a little while. And again, make sure to like the stream, guys. Make sure to let me know if you're enjoying it. Pops that little pass into Porro there, and again, he's on the move straight away. This pass doesn't actually come off. Porro loses it. It's not the greatest pass from Bergvall, but again, the idea is there, that ability to pop it, pass it, move it, and go. I love him. He's such an energetic, busy player. Busy, I think, is the word to best describe Lucas Bergvall. Again here, popping up on the right-hand side. He's got the licence in that midfield, a bit like Maddison, that number 10. And again, I thought Maddison's performance was pretty underwhelming yesterday. I made a TikTok about this. With the way that Kulusevski has been performing, thriving centrally, whether as that number 9 or is that number 10 where I think he sees himself more? I think there's a lot of pressure going on to Maddison's shoulders going into next season, especially with the emergence of this kid. Receives it here from Porro. Again, the art of the body feint. That is what Lucas Bergvall is all about. He's the king of the body feint. Again, just that manipulation. So he receives the ball, and with his first touch, he just body feints, and he's away from the player. And again, drives down that flank. And again, we saw against Hearts his crossing ability from these positions. He set up the goal for, I think it was Ashley Phillips maybe, who bundled in the rebound from Scarlett's header. Bergvall's crossing from these positions, but he just decides to slip that little ball into Johnson. And again, we know how many goals that we score from kind of cutbacks in these positions. It didn't quite work out this time, but Johnson is able to get the cross away. But I just love the fact that he's picking up everywhere. Here, I wanted to highlight his strength, which I think is something that goes under the radar. Under massive pressure here, facing his own goal, but he's able to ride that challenge. Hold the defender off, and just play a nice little pass backwards. And again, it's Archie Gray who's more in that number 6 position there. So just sit deeper and just dictate. And again, he's always got Archie Gray as that sort of safety blanket to go back to. Again, Bergvall popping up over on the right-hand side, drifting inside here. Again, let me move my face. What I love here, again, is Bergvall. You can see, if I actually take that back one step, you can see he's not even looking at Gray, but he knows he's making the run, and he just makes that little reverse pass, and again, it just opens up the pitch so much for Spurs. Again, you might not be able to see it so clearly, but so many of the screenshots I wanted to highlight is that Gray, Bergvall, when he receives the ball, he is constantly scanning, constantly looking around him. He's such an impressive player, and again, I was talking to Travis yesterday from Lily White Lab. I think you guys, obviously, I go to a lot of Spurs games, season ticket holder. I'm sure a lot of you guys in the chat as well. I think Bergvall is going to be one of those players that is even more impressive live in the flesh as well. I really think that. I think he's going to be even more impressive when we actually get to watch him in the flesh. Here again, positive pass with his left foot into space, and again this is what I just want to highlight here. Again, Donley. What I want to talk about Jamie Donley is just these sort of pockets and positions that he picks up. Bergvall comfortable playing on both feet, and again, once he plays the pass off, he makes the run. This didn't quite come off for Bergvall, but again, it just shows you as that number 10 in this team, he's willing to go beyond the winger and get into these positions. Sonny just lays it off to him there, and he's in Bergvall kind of down that channel. And he's got so much composure when he gets into these positions. He lures in the fullback for a step over, beats him, he just dribbles it out of play. But again, if he can get into those positions more often than not and cut it back for a cross or hold it up and bring someone else into play, it's only going to benefit Spurs. Again, here you can see... Let me just move myself again. Oh no, it should be all right, actually. Let me just pop myself down here. Before he receives the ball, he's just looking. He's looking... And again, it's that body feint, it's that roll when he does receive it that is able to get him away from that midfielder, take another couple of little touches and just pop it off to Porro and then continue moving. Just such a tempo setter in this team. Again, like I said, kind of going into this, nothing is particularly spectacular in terms of, wow, there's not one standout moment that grabs you from Bergvall yesterday, but there were so many little moments like this, which I just loved. Again here, that deception from Bergvall as he's driving forward. With the way he's able to manipulate the ball in his body, you'd expect him to almost maybe drop the shoulder here and drive into that space. He actually doesn't this time. Or he does, but again, you'd expect him maybe to carry on driving, but he just plays that sort of square pass into Donley. But again, once he passes it, he moves on into the space, as you can see there. Again, Gray is kind of that deepest midfielder. Bergvall scanning, lovely little one-touch kind of combinations. And this was the clip from the thumbnail that I wanted to show you. Sonny out wide there. Again, you can see on the thumbnail, there's the arrow there. He's looking at the centre-back. He's looking at him, scanning. Gets the ball in. He lures him in because defenders know that they've got a chance of nicking the ball off him, but it's so hard. He reminds me so much of Christian Eriksen. He used to do that. He used to leave it so long to let the ball come to him and then manipulate his body with that kind of feint and get away so well. And that's something we've seen constantly with Bergvall throughout pre-season. So impressive. Again, yesterday, there's the body feint and he's away. And again, if I just... bring this down a touch, or maybe I actually need to take it one frame on. Yeah, you can see the runners there. Johnson is actually offside in this position, but again, you've got Porro who can make that run in there. You know you've got players that wanted to run in behind. It's a lovely little clip ball from Bergvall, and again, Johnson is offside. But it was more the body feint and the manipulation that I wanted to talk about in the build up to that. Let's get some chat. Let's get some comments in. There's some more clips I want to show of Bergvall as well. Right. The midfield I would like to... Oh, here we go. Robert. The midfield I would like to see versus Bayern is Gray, Basuma, Bergvall. Yeah, I would like to see that. I think Basuma's actually had a very good pre-season, and I think we still need Basuma in there. I do like Basuma, Sarr and Bergvall as well. I loved that against QPR, but obviously we were kind of robbed of seeing it for a full 45 because of Bergvall's injury, and again, he's recovered from that really well. Bergvall started a lot of these games now. He started against QPR, I think actually he came off the bench in the last game. So he started to come off the bench in two. So that trust is obviously there. Bradley Snow says Bergvall making a real case for himself to start over Sarr and Bentancur. Regardless, that is unreal depth. Exactly, mate. That is unreal depth. I wouldn't necessarily say over Sarr, but I would say over Bentancur for sure. Bentancur is going to be such an interesting one kind of going into the season and going into next year as well. Darren Fearon says, I don't see how Bentancur fits into an Ange team. He's not mobile enough and he has a habit of giving away sloppy passes. Again, we saw it with Gray. Like, some of the times these players are going to give away sloppy passes. It's kind of the risky football that we play. But I think the balance of the team is a bit better when you've got a Bergvall in there. And I think you can't, for me, if we go to here, when you're looking at that midfield, again, imagine, say you take Gray out and you bring Basuma in. And again, Maddison is gonna start these games, but this... Oh, sorry, hang on. You know when you got a new toy, you just can't quite work it out. Oh, God, what have I done here? Oh, stop. Oh, no. All right, okay. That has gone to shit. I wanted to draw a little triangle, but I've... Oh, there we go. Right. Oh no, you kind of get what I'm trying to do, guys, right? That midfield. Let's just get rid of it. Let's just put a box there. It's just easier, isn't it? Sorry, guys. That midfield, that kind of triangle in midfield. I think I love that balance, and I think Bissouma is going to have a big part to play for Spurs next season. I think kind of people are overlooking him a little bit, and I think you have to have Sarr in there because of our weakness almost on transition, which we'll come to once we finish with Lucas Bergvall. We'll go into that second half. Reports are saying that Ange wants to play more of a 3-2-5 this year. Has anyone else seen this? I definitely think we saw that yesterday. I think, like I said, we saw that yesterday, and I'm going to come on to Archie Gray. Ben's having a nightmare, mate, honestly. Is Bergvall a generational talent? Bergvall has very good body movements and feints, looks good, but can't judge him until the real football starts. Yeah, that's very fair. That's very fair, John. Let's carry on talking about him then. Because one thing I also love about him is his ability to win the ball back. Again, if I just quickly move that here, you can see his anticipation. He's one step ahead of the game when he's receiving the ball, but also when he wants to go win it back. Pass comes in here, and he's straight away in there to win it. And again, it sets up a really dangerous situation for Spurs. Again, popping up on that right-hand side, draws the defender in, and he's able to ride challenges so well. And again, pops it off, gives it and goes, little dink over the top. Doesn't quite get on the end of it, but again, more often than not. And the final thing I wanted to finish on with Bergvall, I was reminded of this clip. His ability to operate in tight spaces. This was back at his time in Sweden. Just watch this, because I think it sums up a lot of everything we've been talking about so well in terms of his body manipulation. Look, he rides the challenge, gets the ball into here, opens his body up, rides the challenge, and that little spin away is just a joke, and then it opens up the pitch so much. That's kind of it on Lucas Bergvall. Let's go to the second half then, and the goals that we conceded. Ben's having a nightmare. I know you're not getting hired on Monday Night Football with those graphic skills. I know, mate. You know when you got a new toy and you're just trying to figure it out. I think I'll stick to the boxes next time. Hopefully, you guys can appreciate the effort at least. Right. Let's move on to the second half then, because there were some sloppy moments in terms of the goals conceded. Let's just move me over. This was actually the disallowed goal that I want to talk about first, because again, I think it actually maybe highlighted some of these vulnerabilities more than some of the other goals, the goals that we actually did concede. Again here, Arset's Poro 1v1, the pace to get past him, and again, they're able to create this overload here on the right-hand side, down our left-hand side. And I think that's where, obviously, when you're playing, Donley actually intercepts this and does well and reads the game. But again, that midfield is kind of absent there. And again, when you take off the likes of Sarr, you obviously took off Bergvall as well. You're adjusting to kind of that new shape in that second half. I think that's downly part of it as well. And then they're able to work the ball out central over to the right-hand side position. And again, this is a bit of a worry for me, but again, it was offside. Spurs actually hold the line pretty well when it gets into those positions. And if we do that, we're going to be fine, but it's not always going to happen. Again, this one, the first goal, Skippy just falls over. Like, that is obviously unfortunate, but again, it's so open there. And again, look, it's pre-season, it's about getting minutes into the legs. And again, I think this is clearly why they are looking for someone to have, they're looking for a midfielder profile that has got legs, has got energy. It's clear why they've been looking at Gallagher. It's clear why they've been looking at Ramsey. Those engines to get up and down and help stop situations like this. And obviously, Sarr came off at half time, who is there for that. Austin obviously spills it, and they're in again to score. And again, it's just kind of that movement over to the right hand side, and they're able to do it. This is a wicked cross, by the way, and it's good movement from the striker. But there are weaknesses there for sure that Spurs need to iron out. Again, look, these aren't going to always be positive. Corner comes in. This one is quite unpreventable, to be fair. Brandon Austin gets a good punch on it, and that's an incredible volley. But in the midst of all that, Spurs do go and get a fourth goal to make it 4-2. Skip, I know. Thank you, Dry Rose Peanut. I agree. I appreciate that. Your streams are great. Good info and not clickbait. If you want to make sure you subscribe to the channel, that massively helps me out. Like the stream as well. It gets it pushed out to more people who can watch this afterwards. John Michael says we were way too open too much again. Even with Kuti and Van der Ven, we'll get punished in the Prem. I do think there will be games that we get punished, but I think as well that kind of setup in that 3-2-5 will make us more stable in possession as well when we're kind of building out as well. And also, I just think it's about really. I think Kulusevski talked about this in his interview. He talked about the fact that last season was very much encouraging the players to play and find their feet in this system. And I think there's going to be a lot more detail in terms of the tactical aspects, and I think that comes with the defending as well next year. Apologies if you can hear the dog barking. So So I do understand your concerns for sure, and I think it's hopefully something that we can iron out going into next season. But this is the fourth goal, and Will Lankshear is someone that I want to come on and talk about now. Again, it's good movement from Spurs. Jed Spence, again, lovely little kind of reverse pass back into Basuma, into Emerson, sorry. And again, this kind of reminded me a lot of last year when we get into these positions. Just give it to Basuma as quickly as possible because he's able to start breaking and start that transition and get the ball up the pitch. And he drives, plays that ball into Maddison. And again, how many times did Spurs kind of find themselves in these sort of situations last year? It reminded me of the Brentford turnaround. We're able to kind of create those overloads down the left-hand side. We're able to get the ball out to the wingers quickly. And this is kind of a nice sort of shape that you want to see. You've also kind of got you've got your number 6 there in Basuma, you've got your 2 number 8s in Maddison and Devine, all ready to make that movement forward with and without the ball. And that's what we see. Great movement in this goal. Ball goes out to Werner. And again, Spurs will score a lot of goals like this. And again, people are have been critical of Werner's placement and signing for this squad. But I think Spurs will score a lot of goals like this. I think Werner will get a lot of assists like this from kind of those low crosses. He's able to isolate the defender. It's just that burst of pace there. But Lankshear again, Will Lankshear has been so impressive in pre-season. Again, there's been so much chat about whether Spurs should sign a striker or not. I think if Richarlison was to go, I think we definitely need that. But I kind of feel okay with Richarlison, Lankshear and Son going into next season as our striking options. I definitely think Lankshear has kind of overtaken Scarlett and Veliz in that pecking order as well. And he's just there to finish. Again, I want to show you it from the side-on angle as well because Lankshear's anticipation and his timing of the run is superb. You can see Moore here at the back post. Moore goes too early. And actually, when the cross comes in, you can see the ball will be behind him and it'll be a difficult finish. But Lankshear is on the move, just on his toes there. But then he makes that burst just at the right time. He's able to prod it home. Really great instincts from Will. I want to highlight this as well, this kind of bit of skill, because it involves Mikey and Will. Again, Mikey Moore was a bit more quiet yesterday, but again, this was a lovely little pass through to Will that nearly got him a second goal. This would have made it 5-2. Nice little combination play. Mikey, take it back, the throw in. Mikey Moore into Basuma, back into Mikey Moore, and again, Mikey could make that safe pass there into Maddison, but Will Lankshear's peeling off that last defender already, and he just manages to squeeze the ball through that gap. And who does this remind you of? There have been so many things in this pre-season that reminded me about Harry Kane with Will Lankshear. Will Lankshear. He has kind of got that Harry Kane sensibility about him almost, and that kind of, or the Harry Kane sensibilities and that kind of timing of the run and his ability to open up his body. And I think that's what he does really well here because he just holds off that defender and he just waits to pull the trigger at the right time. This reminded me so much of Kane. There was actually a goal against Leicester away when Bergvall completed the turnaround. Kane's goal in that game where he chops inside onto his left foot. And you think, can he finish in the same way? He can. Lankshear unfortunately couldn't. He just bends it past the post. But I love this. Just hanging on that shoulder of the last defender, getting into areas where you're going to get chances. Mikey Moore, just that little prod through. And it's so good from Lankshear. And it's just so unlucky. Sorry about the dog. This was the team. This was the team that finished the game then. And again, like I said earlier in the stream, we definitely saw more popping up on the left hand side a lot, even though Werner sort of started there. We saw a lot more kind of fluidity, and again, I think that's been the key word almost of pre-season is that fluidity. Don't get me wrong, don't worry, guys. I'm not going to start trying to draw triangles again. Werner kind of getting into these positions. Again, Lankshear, the timing of the runs have been superb. Mikey almost drifting more centrally because Spence as well. Let's just move everyone up. Let's just move everyone up a little bit. George Abbott came on yesterday, played at centre back and played at left back. Dragusin obviously got his first minutes, which is encouraging for sure. What I love about Mikey Moore when he plays on the right-hand side, because he wants to drift inside, it actually lends itself to Spence's best strengths as well, sometimes going on and bombing on. But again, I think Spence is very comfortable getting into these positions when Moore does want to hold the width. And again, sort of, if you're talking about creating that box in midfield, George Abbott doesn't necessarily play as that inverted fullback, so Spurs kind of go more to a 3 here, and we saw that a lot in the second half. We definitely saw more of this shape with Dragusin kind of defending as that widest defender. And this was then sort of almost that box that was being created with Basuma and Devine. Basuma maybe that little bit deeper, and then Spence coming in with Maddison. Again, guys, let me know your thoughts in the chat about Maddison's performance yesterday, because I think there were so many times. I didn't take any screenshots or anything, because I didn't want to go into too much detail, but there were just so many moments that were quite frustrating for me. In terms of there were so many moments where we got into that final third and he would quite quickly just snap at the shot. He would take the shot rather than take the pass. He was desperate to score a goal, almost acting like he was the best player on that pitch. And I think, like I said, with Kulusevski's ability to thrive centrally, as well as the potential signing of Bergvall, and as well as Mikey Moore, who can maybe play there, and as well as Lucas Bergvall, who we've gone into detail on in this stream, I think Maddison, I said it on TikTok, I think it almost might be a bit of a make or break season for him in terms of his future at Spurs. But yes, we shall see. We shall see what happens. But that's kind of how we almost ended the game. And again, when you are able to build out from the back and have Basuma sort of tuck into here and pick the ball up, if you can get the ball quickly to Maddison and almost create these overloads down here with Werner, because he's got that burst of pace. And when you've got someone, a striker like Lankshear, who's got that movement, that poacher's instinct to sense an opportunity, Spurs will score a lot of goals like this, whether it's Richarlison, whether it's Kulusevski maybe, whether it's Sonny on the cutback, or whether it's Sonny kind of getting into the penalty area, or whether it's Will Lankshear. And I think Lankshear, we will see what happens with him in terms of his development. Like I said, I think I said on the stream yesterday, I do think that a European loan out of all the options would be the most attractive for Lankshear. Park there says Maddison's too selfish. I did think we saw a lot of that yesterday, which I thought was a shame. I thought we saw some good stuff. Slynell says very underwhelmed by Madders. Bergvall starts ahead of him for me. We shall see. Again, I think Bergvall has definitely made himself a case to start, but we shall see. Darren doing Maddison will be all right. Will come good. He's a confidence player. Yeah, I'm not massively worried, but I do want to see more from Maddison. I do want to see more. I've said it all in my Spoil Tottenham and every Spurs channel. Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to write him off going into next season, but I just think now there will be pressure on him, and maybe he will get the best out of that. That pressure will get the best out of him potentially. Go and subscribe to Darren and Doing, by the way. Obviously, just click on Darren and Doing in the chat. Go subscribe. That is mine and Will Hester's Tottenham Hotspur podcast. We're trying to get to 400 subs. We're very, very close. So go and subscribe over there. Jack Lane says, totally agree with Madders. I think some of the more established players are feeling pressure where the kids are playing with a lot of freedom. I think that's a very good point, Jack. I think that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Speaking of number 10s, the thing... I'm going to end on Yang Min-Hyuk, but I also just want to talk about Pedro Porro quickly. Because there were some areas that he was popping up into. And with his ability to shoot from range... Again, look here. You've got ball played out to Sonny from Donley. This is back in the first half. Donley again, picking up positions kind of in that number 10 role. Gets out his feet. Little layoff to Porro. And again, if Spurs can get Porro into these positions as much as possible, he will score. And again, it's saved and it comes out to Johnson. It's the double save. I just wanted to touch on that very quickly. But we're going to end with Min-Hyuk Yang because I thought he was quite impressive yesterday. Obviously, we saw the moment where he skinned Emerson Royale, which was incredibly entertaining. This here, again, kind of highlighting Spurs' vulnerability maybe on the transition on the counter-attack. They're able to work the ball out to him here and he's able to isolate Emerson. Let me just move myself. He's got frightening pace to kind of get into that position. And again, little step over, able to go on the outside, very much reminiscent of Sonny, and he does fire it over the bar. But this was the moment, wasn't it? This was the moment, I think, we all stood up and clapped, maybe, I'd say, in our living rooms yesterday when we were watching this game. Emerson Royale was sent to Milan by Min-Hyuk Yang. Ball into him here, on the turn, and the pace to get away from it. It was a thing of beauty. But guys, that is probably good where we're going to leave the stream today. I'm going to come to some of your comments actually quickly before we go. I can't get back to YouTube. Where are we? There we go. Nordiak says, hi Ben, when is the stream done? Because I would like to download it for my flight home. The stream will be, I'm about to wrap up, mate. So you can do that, no problem. Andrew's Bergvall signing Maddison just hasn't convinced after 10 games. I'm not sure about that. He can be great though if he wants to pass. If he wants to pass to a teammate, yeah. If you're talking about Maddison, kid looks good. Get him on American football lifting ASAP though. Yeah, but again, that will come with time. He's only 18, and also you don't want to strengthen him up too much because that takes away parts of his game as well. But guys, that is where we're going to end the stream today. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favour, if you wouldn't mind, again, I don't want to ask loads from you guys. I just want you to subscribe to the channel and like and subscribe and all that good stuff. We're on the march to 2K subs now. If you can go over to the YouTube channel, drop me a subscribe. If you go over to my TikTok channel as well, that'd be much appreciated. And yeah, guys, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you're watching this after the stream, make sure you get in the comments and let me know your thoughts on everything that we've kind of gone through and talked about. And yeah, I've been Ben Bowman. Up the Spurs.